I still remember how his breath felt on the back of my neck, warm and sinful. I remember the way his lips trailed down my spine while his thick fingers slid between my thighs, finding what my husband hadn't touched in weeks. I had one hand pressed against the cold tile of the guest bathroom wall, the other shoved between my teeth to keep from screaming. "Shh," he whispered, pressing into me from behind, his belt still dangling from his jeans, boots barely off his heels. "They might hear." But I didn't care. I was already too far gone. He slid deep inside me, stretching me in a way I hadn't felt since my early 20s. I gasped, body jolting, my wedding ring clinking lightly against the faucet. My eyes rolled back as he began to thrust, slow and deep, like he knew exactly where my spot lived and how long it had been starving. And just outside that door, my husband and his wife were laughing over wine. This wasn't supposed to happen. None of it was. But let me take you back to where it started, because it didn't begin with sex. It began with hospitality. Top stories, vault presents, vault seekers. Y'all know I don't play with the stories I bring you. This one right here? It's not fiction. It's not fantasy. This is a raw, true-to-life story based on confessions that came straight from the lips of a woman who lived it. A woman just like many of y'all, wife, mother, friend, sinner. And what happened inside that one house will have you gasping. So if you're here for the heat, the heartbreak, and the truth most folks won't dare say out loud, welcome home. This is Top Stories Vault, the only channel where real stories hit harder than gossip and secrets never stay buried. If you're a real one, a true vault seeker, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below with, "I'm here for it," so we know who's riding with us. And trust me, you're going to want to share this one. Let's blow this up so YouTube has no choice but to push it to the top. Now, back to the story. My name is Danica Green, 32, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I've been married to Marcus for almost 8 years now. Marcus is a good man, faithful, hardworking, always trying to do the right thing. But somewhere in all that goodness, we lost us. Somewhere between daycare runs and grocery bills, I stopped feeling like a woman and started feeling like a roommate. Sex used to be fireworks. Lately, it's been, if I get a kiss on the forehead at bedtime, I'm lucky. I've begged, I've hinted, I've dressed up. Hell, I even tried one of them damn TikTok lingerie hauls. Nothing. So when Marcus suggested we have company over for dinner one Saturday night, I didn't know that night would change everything. They pulled up in a silver Ford Explorer around 6, parked right behind Marcus's black Altima in our little driveway. I opened the door just as Jamila stepped out. And God, let me say this, Jamila was stunning. A tall, brown-skinned goddess with legs for days, an hourglass body that didn't make sense after 2 kids, and a smile that could sell anything. Her locks were wrapped up in a golden headscarf, and her outfit hugged her like it was tailored straight from heaven. She waved. "Hey, sis!" Behind her was Tyrese, her husband, and Lord Jesus. That man walked like he owned gravity. Broad shoulders, low-cut fade, gold chain peeking out from under a fresh white tee. His smile was pure charm, but his eyes? They were quiet, observant, the kind of eyes that notice everything. We greeted with hugs. Jamila and I clicked immediately. You'd think we grew up together. Marcus and Tyrese were already talking sports before they hit the porch. That's how black folks do. Food and vibes and music playing low in the background. Luther, Mary, a little HER later. Dinner was shrimp Alfredo, garlic bread, and Caesar salad. Wine flowed easy, laughter even easier. We sat around our little dining room table like we'd all known each other for years, even though Jamila and Marcus were work friends who'd just recently reconnected. I was glad for the company, for the energy, for something new. But I noticed little things Marcus didn't catch, like how Jamila touched Tyrese's thigh under the table, but he didn't flinch. How she kept refilling his glass even when he didn't ask. How his eyes kept drifting to me. I wasn't imagining it. That man looked at me like I was a steak he'd already tasted in a dream. And as much as I wanted to pretend it made me uncomfortable, it didn't. It made me feel seen. The night went smooth, almost too smooth. At some point, Jamila got up to help me clear the table, and Marcus and Tyrese stayed back laughing about some old high school story. We walked into the kitchen with plates stacked and wine glasses half full. "You got a nice house, girl," Jamila said, looking around. "And that man of yours? Ew, you can tell he still loves you." I smiled politely, but it felt fake. "You got kids?" she asked. "2, both with my mom tonight." She nodded, paused, then leaned in close. "Tell me something real. You ever get tired of being good?" I blinked. "What you mean?" She licked her lips. "I mean, tired of playing perfect, smiling when you really want to scream, cooking dinner when you ain't even hungry, laying in bed next to somebody who hasn't touched you in weeks, pretending like you don't notice." I froze. My heart beat hard. It was like she read my damn journal. I didn't answer, just stacked the last plate, took a sip of wine. She tilted her head. "Thought so." Back in the living room, the guys were now watching some game highlights on YouTube, lounging like they paid rent here. I offered them more wine, but Marcus waved it off, said he had an early shift. "Y'all can crash here," I said, not even thinking. Marcus glanced at me, surprised. "You sure?" I nodded. "Guest room's clean, bathroom's stocked. You know how we do." Jamila smiled, slow and mysterious. "Girl, you a real one." If I had known then what I know now, I would have locked every damn door. But instead, we poured one more round, and soon enough, everybody went to their rooms. I got in bed next to Marcus. He kissed my cheek, turned over, snored within minutes. I laid there in the dark, wide awake, and that's when I heard it, the soft creak of the floorboards outside our door, then the bathroom faucet, then silence, then footsteps again. I thought nothing of it. But I'd later realize that was the moment everything started unraveling. If this got your heart racing already, trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet. Vault Seekers, we're just warming up. Comment below. Do you think you could handle 4 adults in one house with temptation that thick in the air? Like this, subscribe if you're bold enough to follow the truth, even when it's messy. This is Top Stories Vault, and real stories always find their way here. I woke up to the smell of cinnamon and maple. Someone was in the kitchen. Marcus was still passed out next to me, one arm hanging off the bed, his mouth open just slightly. He always slept like he was carrying the weight of the whole damn world on his back. I laid there for a few seconds, staring at the ceiling, listening. There was the faint clatter of pans, a gentle hum, maybe Jamila singing under her breath. I slid out of bed quietly, tiptoed into the bathroom, brushed my teeth fast, and threw on a hoodie and shorts. My reflection looked tired but presentable. I grabbed a scarf and tied my curls up messily before heading out. The sun streamed through the kitchen windows, painting warm lines across the hardwood. And there she was, Jamila, barefoot, wearing an oversized Black Girl Magic tee that hung just enough to tease the curve of her hip. She was pouring pancake batter into a skillet, like she was born in that kitchen. "Morning," she said with a grin, without looking up. "I was trying not to wake y'all." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, trying to shake the haze of that strange night. "You always cook like this when you spend the night?" I asked. She chuckled. "Only when I feel safe." I wasn't sure what that meant, but I didn't ask. I started helping, set the table, pulled juice from the fridge, found butter and syrup. It felt weirdly normal, like we were college roommates, no tension, no awkwardness. But the truth is, my mind was still on the way Tyrese looked at me last night, the way it lingered, the subtle heat I felt between us that neither of us named, but both of us knew existed. He walked in just as I was reaching for the salt. "Morning, ladies." His voice was deep and warm, that early morning rasp that made your skin tighten just hearing it. He had on gray sweats and a white tank, arms cut and veins popping slightly. I tried not to stare. I really did. Jamila walked over and kissed him. Nothing long, nothing deep. But my stomach flipped watching it. And then he looked at me, eyes locking onto mine for a split second longer than they needed to. My skin prickled. "Y'all got coffee?" he asked, scratching his chest. "In the corner, above the microwave," I said, pretending to busy myself with napkins. He brushed past me to get it, close enough that I smelled the mix of his cologne and sleep. My thighs tightened instinctively, and I hated myself for it. Marcus finally emerged 15 minutes later, rubbing his eyes and yawning, clearly oblivious to the growing tension in the room. We all sat down to eat. Waffles, turkey bacon, eggs, juice, everything smelling like a damn IHOP. We joked, we shared stories. It was easy, too easy. Jamila told us about her job in finance. Tyrese mentioned he worked part-time at a gym and was also a freelance mechanic. Marcus went on about the company he worked for and how they were downsizing soon. The conversation took turns, veered into relationships, into how hard marriage can be when you don't have time for each other. Jamila nodded too eagerly. Marcus avoided eye contact. "I think people forget that married folks still want to be wanted, though," Tyrese said, tearing a piece of waffle with his fingers. "Like, the ring don't erase desire." That statement just hung there, thick and loaded. Jamila gave him a sharp glance. "What you trying to say?" He shrugged. "I'm just saying, you gotta keep feeding the connection, or folks go hungry." And for a moment, it felt like he was talking directly to me. I excused myself a few minutes later, said I needed to clean up the guest bathroom, but really, I just needed to breathe. I splashed cold water on my face, stared into the mirror, and whispered, "Get it together, Donica." I didn't expect him to follow me. The door clicked quietly behind him. I didn't even hear his steps. "You good?" Tyrese asked. I spun around. "What are you doing in here?" He stepped closer. "You tell me. You the one acting like you didn't feel that last night." I backed up a little, heart pounding. "You're my guest. You can't—" "I can't what?" he said, voice low and calm. "Can't tell the truth? Can't say I've been thinking about kissing you since the moment I saw you?" I didn't respond. He took one more step. "Tell me I'm lying." My breath caught, but I didn't stop him when he stepped close enough that I could feel the heat of his body. I didn't stop him when he ran his finger down my arm or when his hand cupped my jaw. "I see you, Dee," he whispered. "I see how you shrink yourself for that man. I see how your light's dimming, and I hate it." His lips brushed mine, and I let him. It was soft at first, testing, a whisper of a kiss. But when he felt me respond, everything shifted. The kiss deepened, tongue sliding, lips parting, breath hitching. His hands gripped my hips and pulled me against him, and I could feel the hard truth of what he wanted pressed against my thigh. My hands were in his hair before I knew it, nails dragging across his scalp, body pressed up against the bathroom sink. His mouth moved to my neck, and I let out a shaky moan. Then, a knock on the door. "Babe?" It was Marcus. "You okay?" I froze. Tyrese stepped back like nothing happened. I turned on the faucet and splashed my face again. "Yeah, I'm good. Be out in a second." Tyrese opened the door without a word and walked out. I stayed there shaking, heart hammering. Nothing had technically happened. Not yet. But something had started, and I knew I wasn't strong enough to stop it. The rest of the day was a blur. They stayed until evening. We played Taboo, watched Netflix, grilled out back. But everything felt surreal, like I was floating above myself, watching someone else live my life. Jamila was clingy with Tyrese, but he barely noticed. Marcus was all smiles and laughs, completely blind, and I was stuck in the middle, guilty, wet, and wanting something I couldn't name. That night, after they left, Marcus fell asleep watching ESPN. I stayed up, sipping wine on the couch, checking my phone every 2 seconds. No texts, until there was. Tyrese, can't stop thinking about your lips. Tyrese, tell me I'm not alone. Tyrese, say the word and I'll be outside tomorrow night. I didn't reply, but I didn't delete them either, and when I went to bed, I slid under the sheets next to my husband, turned away from him, and slipped 2 fingers between my thighs, thinking about another man's mouth. I came hard, quietly, biting the pillow, and I slept like a woman with a secret. But that was nothing, because Chapter 3, that's where the real betrayal began. I swear I didn't plan for it to happen. The night they came back over was just supposed to be chill, food, drinks, cards, nothing more. But when your heart is starving, the smallest smile can feel like a full-course meal. And Tyrese, he knew how to feed me without even touching me. Jamila had texted earlier that day. Jamila, we ain't doing nothing. You mind if we slide through tonight? Tyrese craving your baked mac. I told her yes, but only because part of me wanted to see him again. Not her. Not the both of them. Just him. I made the mac with 3 cheeses and breadcrumbs on top. His favorite, I remembered. I wore leggings and a cropped sweatshirt that hugged my ass just right. Marcus was already on his second beer by the time they walked in. The Bulls were playing, and he was hyped, loud, laughing too hard. I hated that about him sometimes, the way he needed attention in every room. They came in holding hands. Jamila looked gorgeous, as always. She had on this tight white dress, curves popping, face beat to perfection. Her long, jet-black braids fell down her back like waves. Tyrese? He was in black jeans and a slim-fitted tee that looked like it was sewn onto his biceps. His smile found me instantly. That unspoken thing between us sizzled again, quiet but loud as hell inside my chest. We played spades first, me and Jamila versus the guys. Trash talk, laughs, shots. I kept sneaking glances at him, his tongue licking salt off his hand, the way he looked at me from across the table, daring me. When Marcus got up to grab more drinks, I went to the kitchen too. My timing was deliberate. I needed a moment. Just one. He followed. You trying to kill me in that outfit, he said, voice low behind me. I didn't turn around, just kept pouring whiskey into glasses. My hand trembled slightly. You been on my mind, I whispered. He stepped closer. Say that again. I think about you all the time, I confessed, cheeks burning. His fingers touched the small of my back, just a graze. I leaned into it. Meet me upstairs, he whispered, breath warm against my ear. 5 minutes, the guest room. I nodded, heart racing. Couldn't believe the words that came out my mouth next. Go now, I'll follow. He left. Calm, smooth, like he hadn't just set a grenade off in my chest. I waited exactly 6 minutes, then told Marcus I was going to check the laundry in the guest room closet. He didn't even blink, just waved me off. I walked up the stairs on shaky legs. That guest room had never seen anything like what was about to go down. When I opened the door, he was already waiting. Sitting on the edge of the bed, hands on his thighs, eyes fixed on me like I was the last glass of water on earth. I shut the door, locked it. We didn't speak. He stood up, crossed the room in 3 steps, and kissed me like he was starving. Our mouths crashed, messy, wet, all tongue and moan. He grabbed the back of my thighs and lifted me, and I wrapped my legs around him, grinding my hips instinctively. I could feel him hard against me, thick and ready. He laid me on the bed gently, pulling off my leggings in one clean swoop. My sweatshirt came off next, and my nipples were already hard through the lace of my bra. Damn, he whispered, dragging his lips down my neck, over my collarbone, between my breasts. You so fucking beautiful. I didn't want slow. I wanted reckless. I need you inside me, I gasped. Now, he groaned, pulled down his jeans. No boxers. He was thick, curved slightly to the left, veined and pulsing. I bit my lip. He slipped a condom on fast, climbed over me, and pushed in slowly, inch by inch, watching my face the whole time. I gasped loud. He covered my mouth with his palm. "You gotta be quiet," he whispered, thrusting gently, "or they'll hear." But I couldn't. I was too full, too stretched. It felt too damn good. He started slow, then faster, each stroke deeper than the last. His thumb found my clit and circled it perfectly. I gripped the sheets, thighs shaking. "You like that, huh?" he grunted, sweat forming at his brow. "Yes, Tyrese. God, yes." He flipped me over and took me from behind, grabbing my ass, spanking it once, loud and sharp. I bit the pillow to keep from screaming. The bed creaked under us, but I didn't care. I was so close, and when he leaned forward and whispered, "Come for me, baby," I shattered. My orgasm hit like a wave, violent and hot. I clenched around him, pulsing, twitching, soaking the sheets. He came right after with a deep groan and a shiver, collapsing beside me. We lay there panting, silent, staring at the ceiling. It was wrong, so wrong. But it was the first time in years I felt seen. I cleaned up quickly, fixed my clothes, sprayed a little perfume, and snuck back downstairs. My hands were trembling. My hair was messy. My body was still humming. Marcus didn't even notice. Jamila was laughing on the couch, face lit up. "Y'all good?" she asked as I walked past. "Yeah," I said, "just checking the load." Tyrese came down 10 minutes later, cool as ever, phone in hand. He sat beside his wife like nothing happened. I poured myself a drink and sat across the room. I had just slept with my friend's husband, under the same roof as mine, and no one knew. But that was just the beginning, because that night was the first of many. And Jamila, she had her own damn secret, too. Only I didn't know it. Yet. I couldn't sleep that night. I laid next to Marcus, pretending to be knocked out, body still tingling from Tyrese. I had showered, but his scent clung to my skin. My lips still swollen from his kisses, my thighs sore from his grip. I turned over slowly, watching Marcus as he snored softly, mouth slightly open. And I felt nothing. Not guilt, not shame, nothing. And that scared me more than the cheating. It became our routine, Tyrese and me. Little glances, innocent touches that weren't so innocent, silent language between us that only we understood, like we were playing Russian roulette with our marriages, spinning chambers with every stolen moment. But it wasn't just about sex. Tyrese listened. He asked questions Marcus hadn't thought to ask in years. He remembered the way I liked my eggs, how I hated my coffee too sweet, how I used to dance when I cleaned. He made me feel visible, alive, wanted. We didn't plan to meet again in that house, but the next time it happened, it wasn't upstairs. It was downstairs, in the laundry room, during a game of Uno. Jamila and Marcus were outside smoking, laughing loud. I told them I spilled something on my shirt and went to wash it. Tyrese followed me 5 minutes later, no words. He bent me over the washing machine, pulled my shorts to the side, slid in raw, no time for condoms. It was fast, brutal, silent, but fiery. He covered my mouth again, just like before, but this time I was the one gripping his wrist, holding his hand to my lips as I came hard and fast, my knees buckling under me. He came right after, still buried deep, breathing hard against the back of my neck. That was the day I knew we were in too deep. We couldn't stop. But here's where things turned sideways. A week later, Jamila came over alone. Said Tyrese was working late. Marcus had gone to help his cousin move. It was just us girls, wine, gossip, girl talk. But she kept looking at me strange, watching me like she knew something. And then she dropped the bomb. "You ever cheated on Marcus?" I froze, choked on my wine. "What?" I laughed it off. "Girl, no." She raised her eyebrows. "You sure?" I paused. "Why you asking me that?" She sipped her drink slowly, then leaned in close, voice soft. "Because I have," she said. I stared at her, dead silent. She laughed again, loud and bitter. I've been messing with someone for months now. You know him too." I swallowed hard. "Who?" She didn't answer at first, just stared at me with this twisted smile. "Let's just say we got more in common than we think." I froze. Her eyes were locked on mine. That smile? It wasn't playful. It was calculated. And just like that, I knew. She knew. I felt my heart slam into my chest. Did Tyrese tell her? Did she walk in on us? Did she see something? I played dumb. "Girl, you being mad weird. What you mean?" She shrugged. "Don't worry, I ain't mad. We all got needs." She stood, downed the rest of her drink, and grabbed her purse. Before she left, she turned and looked me square in the eye. "Be careful who you trust in your own house, Bree." Then she walked out. I sat there, hands shaking, wineglass still full. That night, Tyrese texted me. "Tyrese, I ain't tell her nothing, I swear. She got her own mess going on. But something wasn't right. Marcus came home that night acting strange too. Kissed me on the forehead, asked me how my day was, then stared at me for a second too long, like he was trying to see beneath my skin. That's when it hit me. I wasn't the only one cheating. They all were, all four of us, in the same circle, same house, same twisted web, and somehow I was the center of it all, the puppet, the player, and the played. But what hurt the most was who Jamila was sleeping with, and I was about to find out the truth in the ugliest way. The days that followed felt like walking barefoot through glass. Everything in our house was familiar, yet suddenly different. The couch I used to nap on, the kitchen counter I laughed around, the bathroom mirror I brushed my teeth in, all of them held secrets now. Layers of lies clung to every surface, and I was starting to suffocate. I couldn't shake Jamila's words. We got more in common than we think. She knew. I was sure of it. But what exactly did she know? That I was sleeping with her husband? Or that Marcus, my husband, was her side piece? Because that was the only thing that made sense now. She wasn't just playing mind games. She was warning me. I sat on the edge of our bed, trying to make sense of it all. My phone buzzed beside me. It was Tyrese. "Tyrese. She trippin'. Don't believe the hype. I got you, Bree. Always." But I didn't respond. Not right away. I needed to see it for myself. That Saturday, we invited them over again. It was the perfect setup. Marcus grilled in the backyard. Jamila brought her famous lemon bars. Tyrese and I pretended not to notice each other, and Jamila acted like nothing had happened. But I watched. I watched Jamila brush her hand on Marcus's arm. I watched the way he leaned in just a little too close when she whispered something. I saw how he touched her back when he passed behind her. The kind of touch that didn't belong to someone else's wife. It wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. It was intentional, quiet, controlled. But I saw it, all of it. After dinner, we played spades, me and Marcus versus Jamila and Tyrese, just like before. But the tension was electric. Tyrese stared at me like he was dying to take me upstairs. Marcus was smiling too much at Jamila. And Jamila? She was calm, too calm. Like a woman who knew she was winning a game we didn't even know we were playing. I excused myself and went upstairs. Waited a minute. Then I crept back down, just enough to see the living room. That's when I saw it. Marcus had followed her into the hallway. They were close, too close. She was laughing. He leaned in, whispered something. Her hand slid to his chest, then down. I almost gasped. My legs locked. I didn't know if I wanted to scream or cry or throw up. They were cheating, just like me, maybe even worse. And I was the last to know. When I went back downstairs, everything in me had changed. I didn't say a word that night, not even when Tyrese followed me into the kitchen later and grabbed my waist like he always did. Not even when he slid his hand between my thighs and kissed my neck like he missed me. I just let him, because if we were all playing dirty, I was going to play dirtier. I turned to face him, kissed him deep, hard, bit his lip. "Tonight," I whispered. "Come upstairs?" He blinked. "Mark is still here." "I know." He looked at me, unsure. I slid my hand down his chest, into his pants. I want you to fuck me while my husband's in the next room. He groaned. You serious? I nodded. I was beyond serious. I was furious. An hour later, after too many drinks and too much fake laughter, I made my move. Said I was tired, hugged everyone, kissed Marcus, told them goodnight. 15 minutes later, Tyrese slipped into our guest room, and then into mine. It was the dirtiest sex we'd ever had. I rode him in silence, biting my lip to keep from screaming. My body rocked against his, sweat dripping, heart pounding. The thrill of it, knowing Marcus was just downstairs, made it more intense. I came twice. He came after me, holding me tight, trying not to breathe too loud. After I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling. I think they messing around, I finally said. He paused. Who? Our spouses. He didn't respond. I saw them, touching, laughing, disappearing for long minutes. You really didn't know? He swallowed hard. I thought I was tripping. We lay in silence for a long time. Then he whispered, So what now? I turned to face him. Now? We find out the truth. All of it. No more games. Because one thing was clear. This wasn't just sex anymore. It was war, and someone was going to get hurt. Badly. I never imagined that a single night could unravel everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and marriage. Yet here I was, standing in the aftermath of secrets that had festered within the walls of our home. The morning after our last gathering, the air was thick with unspoken truths. Marcus sat at the kitchen table, his eyes avoiding mine, while Jamila's laughter echoed faintly from the voicemail she left on my phone. Tyrese's text messages remained unread, each one a reminder of the tangled web we had woven. I decided it was time to confront the reality head-on. Marcus, I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. We need to talk. He looked up, the weight of guilt evident in his eyes. I know, he whispered. We sat in silence, the truth hanging between us like a heavy curtain. Finally he spoke. I've been seeing Jamila. I nodded, the confirmation stinging more than I anticipated. And I've been with Tyrese, I confessed. The room fell silent again, the magnitude of our actions settling in. We spent hours discussing how we had drifted apart, how the void between us had been filled by others. It was a painful conversation, but a necessary one. In the days that followed, we agreed to separate, giving each other the space to heal and reflect. Jamila and Tyrese faced their own reckoning, their marriage strained under the weight of betrayal. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of Chicago, seeking solace in solitude. The nights were quiet, the silence a stark contrast to the chaos that had consumed my life. One evening, as I sat on my balcony overlooking the city, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Tyrese. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you find peace. I stared at the message, a mix of emotions swirling within me. I didn't respond. Some chapters are best left closed. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I started therapy, rediscovered old hobbies, and reconnected with friends I had neglected. Slowly, I began to find myself again. The experience taught me that love, when neglected, can wither and die. Trust, once broken, is difficult to mend. But from the ashes of betrayal, growth is possible. To all the vault seekers out there, thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, stay true to yourselves and cherish the love that surrounds you.